Onifade. Welcome to another episode of my um Liberating Nigeria podcast. Uh, and I'm going to continue on the topic fixing electricity in Nigeria. And yesterday I talked about a couple of things. I just want to do a quick recap. I talked about the fact that it's important for Nigeria to understand what it actually needs, and that what we need is not necessarily related to our to only our population, but to how industrialized we are. I established that South Africa generates about 60,000 megawatts for 60 million people, and they have covered about 84% of their people. That is, about 84% of South Africans have access to electricity. And Vietnam has generates about 40,000 megawatts for close to 100 million people, and yet they've covered 100% of their people. So nobody can say that Nigeria needs 200,000 megawatts or 100,000 megawatts without getting the numbers right. We need to do the research. And I also mentioned that we can't depend on foreigners to do the research for us. I give an example of research at, it's a figure I read about a few weeks ago, where uh, a European entity said that Nigeria, 81% of Nigerians shop online, which is clearly false. So, and I also talked about coal. And a few of my friends have taken me on that, saying coal is not clean, it's not sustainable. Why am I talking about coal? And I said, well, personally, I agree. I said yesterday, I don't care whether it's clean or dirty coal. I really don't think there's anything that's clean coal, but whatever you want to call it, as long as Europe and America still use coal, I don't think Nigeria should be stopped from using coal. If we want to stop coal in 50 years, then Nigeria can also plan to stop it in 50 years. But for the 50 years, while other people are still using coal, I think we should be allowed to use coal. I'm sorry to disappoint some of my sustainability friends, but we need to fix power. And if the developed world are still using coal, I don't think we should be stopped from using coal. Um, it's not. It may not be long term, 100 years, but we need to fix power. Today, I'd like to talk about something else and pretty simple. I want to move to solar and just highlight a point. Do you guys know that right now importers pay about 20% on battery importation to Nigeria? That's an important point, a policy point that we need to discuss with the aspirants. Are you going to do something? Do you even know that customs currently charge 20% on batteries? I think if you want to go renewable, if you want to encourage renewable energy in Nigeria, we need to work on our importation policies. I think that's too much. Unless you do that only if you want to encourage manufacturing. Is anybody manufacturing lithium ion or any type of battery right now in Nigeria? Not to my knowledge. If you don't have internal capacity to manufacture, you don't discourage, you don't discourage importers because you want solar. Anything we can do to encourage independent power generation, we have to. And solar right now, I think, is the biggest source of independent power across Nigeria. There are hundreds of megawatts of solar generated power in Nigeria. Most solar, not all, most solar installations come with you know battery components. So if we want to encourage independent power, which will reduce uh, the dependence on the national grid, then we have to make it cheaper for people to deploy power in Nigeria, to deploy solar in Nigeria. And battery is a big component of solar installation, whether it's 1 kilowatt hour, no matter how big or small. It's for the big ones. Usually, people don't deploy solar again. They kind of hybrid them with wind or hybrid them with diesel. But I think it's important for Nigerian government to encourage anybody, any organization that is involved in any independent power project. And one way you can do that is to reduce custom duties. And so I'm speaking to the electorates, and maybe politicians, Bola Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, Peter Obi. Those are things we need to discuss. Enough of brandishing this data about Malaysia. Let's talk about the specifics. What you're going to do. Are you going to slash this 20%? Or are you going to keep it at 20%? That's an important point I want to mention today. And those are the key points I think we need to address. Specific policies. How does it improve power? I'll leave it there today. As I come away again, I wish you a blessed